Bonjour to welcome back to our channel. Today we are taking you to Le Grand Trianon. So, on y va.
Today we are going to visit a small palace that Louis XIV had Jules Ardouin Mansart built for him in 1687 to get away from the court of the main Château de Versailles.
Replacing Le Trianon de porcelain, constructed here just 17 years earlier, Le Grand Trianon is one of the most refined buildings of the entire domain of Versailles.
The small pink marble and porphyry palace sits on a single level, placed between the courtyard and the garden, covered with a flat roof, hidden by a balustrade.
When you arrive, the first thing you see is the imposing peristyle, a colonnade that separates the garden from the court, yet connects the wings of the palace. It was personally decided on by Louis XIV, and today is still the most emblematic feature of the palace.
The visit starts with the south wing.
We are first met with the boudoir of Empress Marie-Louise. Initially this was Madame Mare's boudoir in 1805. This room would be attached to the apartment that Louis-Philippe had set up in the old kitchens of Louis XIV.
This is the moment where we remind you to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell below this video if you'd like to be notified of our future explorations, including the said apartments of Louis-Philippe.
We now find ourselves in Le Salon de Glace, or the mirror room.
This is the most beautiful grand room in the south wing and used to be part of the apartment of Louis XIV between 1691 and 1703.
Le Salon de Glace continues Louis XIV's appreciation of mirrors. Not only do they add the familiar luxury to the place, but also delight while reflecting and multiplying the appearance of candles as soon as first one lit up.
Under Louis XV, Le Grand Trianon was frequented by his wife, Marie Lesinska, who lived here in the summer and also housed her father, Stanislas, whenever he visited Versailles.
Louis XVI unfortunately lived a terrible memory here, as it is at Le Grand Trianon that his and Marie Antoinette's youngest child, Sophie Hélène Béatrice de France, died from either fragile health or tuberculosis. To this day, there are discussions of the exact cause of death of the infant.
From 1810 to 1814, this grand room served as a large cabinet for Marie-Louise, Napoleon's second wife, and the great niece of Marie Antoinette.
One of the most remarkable things about Le Grand Trianon's decor is its delicate woodwork. These decorative elements were not stuck to the wooden panel, but were actually carved into the oak walls.
Initially, they were supposed to be gilded, but that never happened due to the difficulties the kingdom faced during the War of the League of Augsburg under Louis XIV.
The Empress Chamber, originally the chamber of Louis XIV, features magnificent Corinthian columns that were used to divide the space into a smaller chamber and an antechamber for Marie-Louise, who would refurnish the place into what you see today.
The bed, however, belonged to Napoleon I in Tuileries and was the deathbed of Louis XVIII in 1824. This chamber, as pretty much the rest of the palace, continues the strange mix of the paintings, usually dating to Le Grand Siècle of Louis XIV, that somehow managed to coexist with the much later furniture of the empire, largely ordered by Napoleon and Marie-Louise.
To further this point, the following room is La Salle de la Chapelle. Yes, this used to be a chapel when Louis XIV's apartments were still in the north wing, before being moved here in 1691.
In fact, the room would keep its initial designation as a chapel, as the back door opens onto a recess that houses an altar. However, once the mass was done, the door was closed.
Louis XV and Marie Lesinska, painted by Jean-Baptiste Van Loo, remind us of their stay here. The last grand room in the south wing is Le Salon des Seigneurs, antechamber of the lords in the 17th and 18th centuries. Later it became the dining room of Madame Mère under the Empire, then the Empress Marie-Louise. It would finally become the room of the bailiffs of Queen Mary Amélie under Louis-Philippe.
As we cross the Peristyle on our way to the Grand Apartment of Grand Trianon, it should be noted that in 1810, Napoleon had glass windows installed here to facilitate the connection between his apartment and that of the Empress. This installation was removed in 1910.
The grandeur of this apartment immediately becomes apparent as soon as you enter. You must remember that until Napoleon I, this palace carried a more private character and was used as such. but unwillingness or perhaps inability to use the main chateau that Le Grand Trianon started to carry a more political character.
Salon de la Musique, the old antechamber of the first Grand Apartment of Louis XIV, presents us with one of the oldest woodworks decorations. Napoleon I made this room the Salon of Officers, and Louis-Philippe a billiard room. The Grand Room of Louis-Philippe family is probably the most impressive in the whole wing. It was created by Louis-Philippe from two existing rooms. The king and his family, who liked to stay in Grand Trianon, met in the evening in this room.
The yellow may be too much at first, but we quickly grew accustomed to it, and now very much admire it. The politics continue with the neighboring malachite room.
It would house the items created of Siberian malachite sent by its side Alexander I to Napoleon I after the signing of the Treaty of Tilsit. At the end of the corridor is Salon de Frais, which served as the grand cabinet of the emperor under the Empire and would be used as council hall under the Restoration.
On the left is the magnificent Galerie des Coutelles, which was first built to house the Trianon flower beds of the rigors of winter. This gallery has 11 French windows on the south side and only 5 on the north side. It is decorated with 24 paintings, including 21 done by Jean Coutel, hence the name, which represent the groves of Versailles and Trianon. At the time they were commissioned in 1687.
However, before we exit into the gardens, let's go back a little, behind the closed doors into a small, private apartment of the emperor.
Entering through the topography office that Napoleon particularly appreciated to work in, we are met with the rooms that progress one after the other.
Composed of 5 rooms, it was formed by joining part of Madame de Maintenon's old apartment and the Petit Appartement arranged in 1750 for Louis XV. Napoleon occupied it for the first time in December 1809, in the days following his divorce from Josephine. The antechamber is the former Levant cabinet, which served as a large cabinet for Madame de Maintenon. In the 17th century, the room was used by Madame de Pompadour and then, on a few occasions, by Marie Antoinette.
It is precisely here where Princess Sophie Beatrice, who we mentioned earlier, died in 1787, aged 11 months. The walls are stretched with a damask color land of Egypt, which we absolutely love.
The private office takes a different tone of the green damask. This is the former rest office, which served as a bedroom of Madame de Maintenon. Divided in the 18th century into several cabinets, this room was restored in 1813 to its original dimensions and then took on the appearance it has today. With the bathroom begins the Petit Appartement furnished in 1750 for Louis XV. The walls are stretched with a white basin, which also covers the gondola seats. The bathtub is hidden by a green sheet bench.
The Emperor's Chamber is the old room of Louis XV, created in 1750 on the side of a staircase and part of the next room. It was refurnished in its Empire state. It was in December of 1809 that Napoleon stayed for the first time in this small apartment, just after his divorce from Josephine.
It is well known that Napoleon deeply loved Josephine and only divorced her as he needed an heir that she unfortunately couldn't give him. Her daughter Hortense de Beauharnais recounted the Christmas dinner she shared with Josephine and Napoleon. He went to Trianon and committed us to come and pay him a visit. I accompanied my mother there. The emperor wanted to keep her for dinner. As usual, he found himself placed in front of her. Nothing seemed to have changed. There was a deep silence. My mother couldn't take anything, and I saw her ready to faint. The emperor wiped his eyes 2 or 3 times without saying anything, and we left immediately after dinner.
As we exited these private apartments, we found ourselves in the chamber of the Queen of Belgium. Former room and former cabinet of Louis XIV in the Trianon de Porcelain in 1703, this room was reunified by Louis XV, who will make it a dining room. It would then be transformed into a living room under Louis-Philippe, then into a room for his daughter, Louise, and her husband, Leopold I, King of the Belgians, hence the name.
The gilded wood bed, created by Jacob Desmalter in 1809 for the room of the Empress Josephine in Tuileries, would be modified for this room in 1845. Le Grand Trianon has always felt a little strange to us, as it appears grand, yet very organically woven into its gardens. I absolutely loved the colors in the small apartment of Napoleon. I never thought you could mix beige with rose, like pink, pale pink, pastel pink, in such a clever way with a little bit of green here and there. My goodness, and it's all silk, and it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I'm still overwhelmed a little bit. I absolutely love this visit.
What do you like about this visit?
I love the fact that, first of all, you see the apartments, you see different epochs. You see that Louis XIV, for instance, Louis XIV, you could see his touch of his time, especially boiserie, like the woodwork on the walls. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous, detailed. There's not so much stuff hanging over you, so the ceilings are all blank. You kind of feel like it's even more elevated. The rooms are much higher. The ceilings are humongous. So you kind of like, the guide, she mentioned that when they were building it, they didn't think that it wouldn't be comfortable. Screw that. For me, that's very comfortable. I love tall ceilings. Give me a 10-meter high room and I will be very happy in it, But yeah, overall, it's just such a beautiful, eye-opening visit. You go from one epoch to the other. Le Dauphin lived here, the son of Louis XIV. Then you've got the Napoleon. You've got all the way until Louis-Philippe. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And, of course, Charles de Gaulle later on. These gardens were done by Michel II Le Bouteau, André Lenôtre, and completed by Jules Ardoin Marsart.
Today they cover about 23 hectares and feature a few notable basins and fountains, and we would like to show you one that has recently been restored to its former glory.
On our way there, we passed by the wing of Trianon-sous-Bois, where Charles de Gaulle had his official residence. We've done an episode on that part of Grand Trianon and highly recommend it if you have not yet seen the video. Link in the pinned comment. And now we are going back to buffet d'eau, so the buffet of water, water buffet. Why? Because last time when we were here, it was switched off. Yeah, it was switched off. We were late, we finished the visit, and then by the time we reached here, it was already it was still wet, but it's not really finished.
I still don't know when they open, when they turn this off, when they turn this on. I really don't know.
Well, I think you should check their website.
I'm not sure if they mention it, but
I
feel like
sure
it's just randomly done. I'm not sure.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because you don't see this all the time. I think they do it during high season.
Yeah, I think during winter it's off.
Yeah, in winter it's off completely.
Has to be, come on.
Yeah.
Because it gets really cold. What if it gets frozen? The pipes will get damaged. No.
Yeah, true. Too risky. La Fontaine de Buffet d'Eau was built in 1702 by Jules Ardoin Marsart.
With a depth of 12 meters, it consists of 3 marble tiers in red and white shades, similar to the pilasters of the Grand Trianon, to match it perfectly. The fountain is surmounted by mythological figures in gilded lead. Oblique jets sprang from the foremast representing the winds. The restoration works were carried out until spring of 2023, and today you can easily visit it while exploring the domain of Le Grand Trianon. So this will be the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like this episode, let us know in the comments below. And if you like our content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you like. And until the next one, au revoir.